What's up YouTube? This is going to be our guide on how to use Calyrex Ice Rider in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. If you enjoy the videos, they help you out, drop a like and let's get into it. So earlier on we did Calyrex Shadow, so now we're going to do Calyrex Ice. So Calyrex Ice also is a very good Pokemon. Looking at its stats, we've got some extreme bulk here, really extreme bulk, and a great attack stat. Psychic and Ice typing, which is alright, and we've got the same sort of abilities as one. So we've got Glacier ability there, and we're getting that attack boost this time when fainting a Pokemon plus Unnerve. So very good ability for sure, extremely broken. So first we're going to have a look at, this Pokemon is very well suited for Trick Room. It's not a fast Pokemon with 50 base speed, so you can definitely capitalize on that whether you're playing singles or doubles or whatever you're doing, right? So first sort of set here we got, of course, is a Trick Room set. So Calyrex is good at setting its own Trick Room up and sweeping too. He has enough bulk to be able to set that up. So if you've got a Trick Room team, I'm sure you could get Calyrex onto there, whatever sort of rules you're playing. So we got Trick Room, Glacial Lance is its best move there. So 120 base power, 100% accuracy, whether you're running singles or doubles. And this is got high horsepower, which is useful for any fire type Pokemon too. And we've also got Terra Blast on there for Terra Blast Fire. I quite like Terra Blast Fire, or just, even if you don't have Terra Blast, I like Terra Fire as well, because that's actually immune to any fire type moves, and it's also useful for any Pokemon that use Will-O-Wisps against you because you can't be burned. Quite a useful move to have on there. The item I've put on this is Weakness Policy, which is a good item for a Pokemon like Calyrex. It's got very good bulk, 150 base defense, 130 special defense, 100 base health. It's going to live, most of the time it's going to be living a super effective attack and then setting up Trick Room and then snowballing from there. So that's definitely a good way to go about it there too. Another move you could possibly put on there, if you wanted to as well, is Close Combat. Close Combat's not a bad move. It's got a little bit of niche for it for Steel-type Pokemon. You've already got high horsepower. The thing I don't like about Close Combat as much is it drops your defenses. So it makes Calyrex, it can be revenge killed, or it's just going to drop its defenses. So there's really only one Pokemon or a few combinations you could possibly have it for. Something like, say, a King Gambit that's very tanky, or maybe if King Gambit had or a Steel type had an air balloon, something like that. Close Combat could come in clutch there, but most of the time I usually don't use that. I'd use maybe Terra Blast Fire or a different move on there you could go for too. So Weakness Policy set, you've got Terra type Fire. I'm trying to think of some other ones you could go for, more defensive ones. It's usually quite good defensive instead of doing like Terra Ice, because unless you're running like a dedicated snow team. Psychic's not all that good because you don't really have that great a Psychic move. Ground's not bad. Ground's actually not a bad one at all, so you could have Terra type Ground, and then you could be hitting very hard with Ground type moves. That's gonna work too. And if any Pokemon come in, you can hit them with a very powerful ground move. Plus, you've got stuff like maybe Terra Normal or Terra Electric could work too. If you had, Terra Electric would be alright, because then you'd only be weak to ground Pokemon, and then if a ground type Pokemon comes in, well, you just hit them with Glacial Lance. So Terra Electric, that'll work kind of nicely too for sure. EV's 248, optimized obviously for like entry hazards and stuff like that. And then we've got max attack and last little bit in defense. So Brave Nature, 0 IVs and speed, all the closest you can get there. You want to be running that one with no speed under Trick Room. Now, you could set this up for having a Trick Room already. It's just Calyrex does a pretty nice job of setting its own Trick Room up. But you could definitely set Trick Room up with another user. There's so many of them, and then send this in. And then have something like, you could put Close Combat on there if you wanted to. I'm just doing an example here if there was someone else to set it up. And then you could put Assault Vest on there instead, so you can make it even more tanky. So that could be another way of doing it too, if you don't want to have to set your own Trick Room up and stuff like that. Just something else to think about there. Next sort of set here we got, it actually does get close combat, sword dance sort of combination there, and you could run that with Glacial Lance and high horsepower too. I thought you could definitely do this. You could even probably squeeze on Trick Room on there, because it's just got so much bulk too, so you could go like sword dance, Trick Room, then Glacial and high horsepower. That could work too, but try and do something a bit different here. So we got health and attack, same sort of Trick Room, so you got a Trick Room Pokemon setting that up. So we got that. Sword Dance is going to boost his attack. It's going to be crazy. Glacial Lance, close combat, and high horsepower. Terra Ground on this one, and I gave it Lumberry. Since we're not doing Terra type Fire, it might be a bit, a little bit vulnerable to any Fire type moves like Will-O-Wisp and stuff like that burning you. So I felt like Lumberry would be quite a nice one to use. Another berry that's pretty good for any setup moves is Citrus Berry too. That gives you a little bit of extra health back. And with this sort of bulk there, that could actually be quite beneficial because you might be able to get another attack off and stuff like that. So that definitely could be useful there if you don't want to set Trick Room up yourself. Or you could do something like Trick Room here, right? You could set Trick Room up yourself if you wanted to. It probably can do it. Like it's got enough bulk, so you got Trick Room and then set Sword Dance up and then click Glacial Lance. Basically, that could definitely work there. And you got high horsepower. That gives high horsepower and Glacial Lance give pretty good coverage all around. So there you go. There's some more singles based sets. I've written Choice Band there too. We can't figure that. So Choice Band. So obviously you get rid of Sword Dance and that. So on that, I'd probably have something like. That's where you could probably have Close Combat on there. I'd put Close Combat on there. And then you'd probably have something like Terra Blast on there. So Terra Blast. I'm trying to think of another Terra Blast. Something else that could work for Calyrex. There's not too many really, apart from the ones that I listed. So you could have something like, you could just do Terra Fire on there. That would probably be fine. Terra Fire, and then you got high horsepower, Glacial Lance. You got like a lot of coverage there for sure. Just thinking real quick. It does get out of. I know you probably think, well, if it was a psychic move, it does get Zen Headbutt, but I mean, it's not all that bad under a Trick Room. It can flinch. I'm just thinking about that. It could flinch under a Trick Room. That could be, that could be somewhat useful as well. So you could go for that. I'll probably go Terra Ground on that. So that's another way of running Zen Headbutt. I feel like Zen Headbutt would be more beneficial on a Trick Room set when you're going first to get some flinches and whatnot. But it is a bit shaky because it's not 100% accurate too. And it doesn't give the greatest coverage in the world. Like Glacial Lance and high horsepower give more coverage overall. So that's why I didn't really mention that too much. EV's still the same. Lots of bulk, lots of attack. Look, if you wanted to outspeed an opposing Calyrex or a certain thing, you could always dial back on the health a little bit there. If you wanted to, and put a bit more into special defense, but I don't think you're really going to go wrong mostly there. But as long as it's got max attack and lots of bulk, you're going to be sort of fine. All right, let's have a look at some doubles and VGC style or whatever rule set you were playing with doubles. So this is pretty similar. I got a couple of suggestions here for its terrors. They're a little bit different for singles. So Glacial Lance, obviously, that's very, very good. Plus, it hits both the adjacent opponents there. We got high horsepower, great coverage, and Trick Room. So it's a Trick Room setter. And I also thought Protect would be good on there as well. So you can always Protect. If you need to stall out a turn of Trick Room to reset it up for your teammates coming in, that can be very, very good as well. I've got Clear Amulet on there. Clear Amulet is pretty good for just stopping any stat drops like Parting Shot and things, annoying stuff like that that's going to stop Calyrex from doing its job. Now, I've got Terra-type Water on here. This is more of a defensive Terra for sure. So I don't think that's all that bad because any Fire-type moves aimed at it are going to be not very effective. And then you've got like, Neutral and stuff like that too for fighting and other cool stuff like that. And Psychic too. So that's not a bad one. I probably would say one of the best ones is Fire still. I still would say Fire is probably the best because any Fire-type moves used against it, not very effective. It can't be burned. So it's pretty good in that aspect. I'm trying to think of any other terrors that could be useful there. You could have... Look, you could have Terra type Ice if you wanted to. More on like a Ice... I'd say a Snow team. That would be better. Because Ice is resisted by quite a few Pokemon. Especially Steel types too. They're gonna resist that. And other Fire types too. So, unless you get a significant amount of attack boost up there, it's probably going to get walled. So that's why I suggest those other, those other Terras there if you like. Even something... I don't know if it gets any other physical moves. I'd probably say those ones are the best ones. I'd go with Fire or Water. They'd be my two I'd go for there for sure. If you got any other suggestions, go for it. It might be more dependent on the team as well. Because I know it gets some other moves like Seed Bomb and stuff like that. So like, if you had Seed Bomb on there for an attacking move, I know it does get that. You could have Terra Grass or something like that, but I don't know, that's more, in my opinion, it's more gimmicky because you're still weak to fire and stuff like that, and grass is overall not the greatest. Maybe that would be to get around like Spore or something like that, some sort of hidden tech or something. I don't know, but I'd probably stick with those ones. Seriously, they're going to do well most of the time. Let's have a look at the second one. I probably like this set the most. I've used this before. It's pretty funny. It can make people pretty salty. So this is like my anti-Calyrex Ice Rider set. So when you see another one, you can give them a really, really good time because it is a pretty popular Pokemon to actually see, especially in doubles. So this one, same sort of EVs there, bulk and attack, brave nature. Let's assume Trick Room team, right? So Glacial Land's high horsepower, they're very good moves, coverage. Now, this is a perfect set for Imprison, right? Because most Calyrexes are always going to run Glacial Lands and they're going to have high horsepower so much of the time. And a lot of the time they're going to have Trick Room too. So if you use Imprison, that Calyrex is only got like one more move to use and it may only be Protect and you can completely shut them down. And you can cause a swap there, so it'll be a perfect no-you, basically. I've put Room Service on here as well, so I can counter the Calyrex under Trick Room too, so I can even be slower. Because, Brave Nature, 0 IVs, pretty slow, right? With Room Service, you can get an additional drop there in speed, and you can completely counter them under the Trick Room, so it won't be like a speed tie or something like that. So, Terra-type Fire on there is more of a defensive nature, Terra, and that's going to be really good. So, you can give that a try. I guarantee that's going to work, because I've tried it and used it myself. It's caused some salty rage quits. Imprison is such a cool move. It's very, very... I know it is. It is very, very dependent on what the opponent brings, but these Pokemon that have a lot of high usage, you can guarantee it's going to work eventually. And a lot, you've still got everything you need. Glacial Land's high horsepower and Trick Room. What are you going to put on there? Protect or something like that? So it's not a move you're going to be using a lot of the time. So I feel like you could definitely adapt, Imprison into that and give it a shot. And Room Service is only going to make you faster than Trick Room, so it can't all be that bad. So that's a pretty cool Calyrex set for doubles if you want to try like an anti-Calyrex one. Let's have a look at some memes now. We've been going for a fair bit of sweat here, competitive stuff. This is actually an interesting set, a little bit more like sort of off meta, but it can be interesting. So with Calyrex, it's slow, right? But it can actually be fast, and it actually has some multiple hitting moves. So I felt like Loaded Dice could work on there rather nice. So we got Icicle Sphere. So if, as you know, Loaded Dice guarantees you 4 hits. If you get the 5th one, that's actually more powerful by 5 base points compared to... so Glacial Lands is 120, and then you've got Icicle Sphere. If that lands 5 times, you've got 125, right? So that's going to be that's going to be a little bit more powerful. Plus, you can break through like Focus Sash, Substitute, Sturdy, things like that too. So interesting. It also has Bullet Seed too. So I thought, oh, same sort of thing there. A powerful Grass type move. That'd be kind of nice. And I thought Terra type Grass could be interesting too. Plus, you can be immune to stuff like Spore and other annoying stuff like that. I've got Agility on there, so increasing its speed by 2 stages. So we got max speed on this one and max attack. Nature. Look, you could go Jolly, but let's be real. It's not really getting too much more out of it. I mean, unless you could, I guess, but it's going to be, you're going to have to rely a fair bit on its ability to get some attack boost up there. That's why I went adamant, a little bit more raw power. But it's up to you. And then I got high horsepower because we're going to get walled by steel type Pokemon, obviously. So a little bit of an off sort of meta Calyrex Ice Rider set, but it has potential, and I've used it before, and it does actually work and can take the opponent, you know, by surprise. And say if an Urshifu tries to come in there and use Rapid tries to go for it, you could use Bullet Seed on it and completely destroy it. So sort of interesting stuff there for sure. I'm gonna do some team members and some counters in a sec too. Let's go over another. This is very gimmicky stuff here. Of course, we had to do a PIMPNITE special. So we've got Calyrex, special Calyrex, Ice Rider. We got that max special attack and max speed, modest nature. I've given this one Snowscape, so we can get that snow happening, giving Calyrex greater defensive bulk, and also allowing it to hit blizzards 100% of the time. We got that Never Melt Ice there, boosting up that, boosting up those ice type moves. Actually, Never Melt Ice isn't all that bad. Like, seriously, it actually isn't all that bad a move if you were doing doubles and singles as well, because that can boost up Glacial Lance a little bit. So if you're tight for items, you don't want to dupe up, or you can't dupe up, Never Melt Ice for Glacial Lance, that could work too. Agility and Draining Kiss Terra Fairy. So we can resist any of those fighting type moves, and we can go for some Draining Kisses. That'll be absolutely incredible, powerful stuff there. Definitely going to get tons of KOs with this set. So a beautiful PIMPNITE special there. Let's have a look now at what partners will work well with Calyrex Ice, and maybe some counters as well, and sort of a look over, you know, what we could do for that. Okay, so we'll start with, I think we'll start with, say, let's start with like more of a, let's say a singles team, right? We'll start with that. I think we'll break it up into singles and doubles. That's mostly so. Ninetales isn't bad. Ninetales Alola isn't all that bad because that can set up Snow Warning, and that would be very, very useful for Calyrex. That would give it greater bulk and allow it, say, that, you know, that weakness policy set we were talking about earlier on, not this obvious one, that could allow it to set up really, really easily. Like, I'd say even a Trick Room and a Sword Dance, it could do that nice. And then anything like that threatens... Rapid Strike would be good for that. So anything that threatens Calyrex, Fire-type Pokemon, Rapid Strike can easily deal with that. So that's pretty good synergy, like Ninetales, Alola, Calyrex, and yeah, and Urshifu. That's some pretty good, pretty good sort of synergy there. Plus Ninetales can set up the Veil and stuff too, so it's going to making it very, very bulky for sure. Now for doubles, Incineroar is a really good partner. Said most Pokemon, but Incineroar is a very, very good partner there for it. So what it can do, I've done an Incineroar guide too. Say you lead with this, right? You got Incineroar and then you've got Calyrex, right? Well, Incineroar can go for Fake Out on the more threatening Pokemon, and then Calyrex can set up the Trick Room, and then you're sort of away then, and then, you know, this can either go for Parting Shot and dip out, or, you know, do a Flare Blitz or something like that. So that's not a bad sort of matchup there. Another good one is Torkoal. So Torkoal, it actually likes Trick Room. It's a very, very slow Pokemon, 20 base speed. So this is going to be a good sort of support for Calyrex too, especially when there's stuff like, you know, like Zacian. That's really good against Zacian under Trick Room. It can burn it. It can hit it for some really powerful damage there. You know, it puts Drought up. It's going to be nice. And it may even, if you got Terra Blast Fire, well, that's only going to benefit as well too. So I quite like that. Another one that would be useful would be Rillaboom. Like, these Pokemon are so good with so many good partners and stuff. Like, Rillaboom's good for it as well. For any Pokemon, you know, that are going to be quite threatening, or very like hard special attack hitters like Kyogre and stuff, that could be useful against them too. And even Groudon, you know, that could be a threat for Calyrex for sure. So that could deal with Groudon with, like, you know, Grassy Glide or Woodhammer and stuff like that. So that's another option that you could do there for teammates and stuff like that too. So some good counters for Calyrex Ice. Koraidon, I would say, is a good counter. So Koraidon, very, very good counter. You know, its ability, it's got fighting moves, it's got fire moves. It's a dang good counter, right? That can Basically, Flare Blitz is going to one-shot. That's unless it's an absurdly bulky... Even then, I think it's going to one-shot. So it has no time to really set up there. So that's going to absolutely drop it. Basically, you're going to be forced to Terror your Calyrex if you verse Koraidon. So that's definitely a threatening Pokemon. I'm thinking here... I mean, Shadow Rider can be threatening to it as well. If it's got enough boost up there, maybe one boost is going to be very threatening to it. It really does rely on going first too. So Calyrex can be a good counter for it too. I'm trying to think of some hard-hitting fire types. How about Chi-Yu? That's not bad. So Chi-Yu could be a good counter as well. If it was like a Scarf or Spec set, that's going to be doing like a ton of damage there. What's his most powerful fire move? Something like Fire Blast or Overheat, like a Spec set. That's going to drop. That's going to be dropping Calyrex, you know, every day of the week there. But I'm trying to think if there's any other good partners for Calyrex. Pelipper's not bad either. Now that I think about it, Pelipper's not all that bad. If you had it on a rain team, you know, setting up the drizzle, that's going to be useful for Calyrex too. So that's not a bad partner at all there. I'm just trying to think of some other good ones, you know. I think I've covered, I'd say I covered most of any redirectional Pokemon are going to be good too. Like Amoonguss and stuff, they're all very, very good. I mean, they're good on so many teams. Let's have a look at Calyrex's moves and some final sort of thoughts on it. I think I've done a pretty good job there with teammates and counters and stuff like that. And singles, doubles. I try and cover all sort of formats and like a general sort of guide to everything, right? Not hyper offensive like VGC or Smogon or stuff like that. Try and go like broad, right? I've always tried to do that with my my moveset guides. Let's have a look here at a status move. So we've gone. It does get it. I like how it gets agility. I guess it gets that from Calyrex. Would you guys like to see Glastrier done? I did ask this in my Calyrex Rider video. Would you like to see Calyrex Inspectory done? I don't know. That'd be interesting to do, maybe. I'm trying to think. So we went over Sword Dance and Trick Room, very good. It does get Trick. Might be able to have Trick or Choice Band or something like that. It gets virtually very, very similar moves here. So as Calyrex Rider. So you could... Let's make a bulky set. It is quite a... Let's be real here. It's a very, very bulky Pokemon. So let's say we had it as a real tanky support Pokemon. And I have no doubt this could pull this off. I know it's better suited as a Trick Room Sweeper, but let's have a look. So let's say we did like a super tremendous bulky ass set here, right? Let's make it special defensive because we got that snow going. You could even run it with Ninetales, right? Ninetales would be a good partner. So you don't even have to set your own snowscape up. Let's assume that I'm running this with a Alola Ninetales, right? Let's assume that. Let's put Citrus Berry on it to begin with. This would be super bulky, right? So we got status moves. We want to sort of help out our allies. So we got that. Oh, Life Dew is pretty good. I like Life Dew. That's nice. We got help. I know I've got Helping Hand on that. Yeah, Helping Hand. We'll put Glacial Lance on there just so it's not going to be set up fodder. And then we've got Heal Pulse as well. That's pretty good. That's not a bad one. I'm trying to think of something else that would be useful. Maybe Trick Room. Like seriously, you could run that as a bulky Trick Room support set. How about we put something better on that than Terra-type Psychic? Well, I don't know if I'd even Terra this, honestly. Like, this would... Maybe Terra Ice if it was on an Ice team. So, yeah, you could run that as a really... That would be super bulky, too. You could provide support with Life Dew, Helping Hand, and Trick Room, and then you've got Glacial Lance. Not bad. That'd be a pain to actually feint that. You'd take a lot of hits and work well on a snow team. Very, very nice. So that's something you could try for Calyrex. Let's have a look at its physical moves here. So it gets a lot. It does get Avalanche, which actually is the same power as Glacial Lance, and you're going to go second. But Glacial Lance overall is better, right? Because you don't have to rely on getting damaged by the target, right? So Glacial Lance will always be better. There's no reason to run Avalanche. There was a little bit of cool tech there with Icicle Sphere and Loaded Dice. So you might be able to run that over Glacial Lens in Situational. And then you've got Icicle Crash. The only reason why you'd want to run that if you're going for like a Troll flinching set and you had Agility up, that could work. We went over Sea Bomb, High Horsepower, and then we got Stomping Tantrum too. But Stomping Tantrum is outclassed by High Horsepower virtually. Trailblaze is another way to increase its speed. If you want to make a speedy one, we went over Zen Headbutt being okay flinching, but a little bit coverage-wise there, a bit shaky. We went over Bullet Seed and stuff like that. It does get Solar Blade, which is kind of interesting for a Sun team. Close Combat, we went over that, but it's a little bit, you know, you could probably, there's no point really dropping its stats. I would say it's better. And also has Body Press as well. Like, Body Press wouldn't be too bad on there. Like a support set. Like, you know that support set I built a moment ago? You might be able to slide Body Press onto there. And here it's Special Moves. It actually gets quite a few Special Moves, which is pretty cool. But I don't think you're going to use a special Calyrex Ice. But if you are, you could try and use that special set that I did. Ooh, it even gets Leaf Storm. You might be able to go to like Terra Grass or something like that. Terra Grass Leaf Storm with a White Herb or something. That could be kind of interesting for sure. But anyway, that sort of covers Calyrex Ice Rider, a very, very bulky Trick Room Pokemon that hits extremely hard. Once again, if you've got any more sets, leave them below there. If there's any Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below. Check out the playlist. I've done quite a few Pokemon now. I think I've almost done 200 of them. And yeah, if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, help you out, drop a like on the video, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.